subject matter that is worth considering, right? I mean, I've had a situation where people tell me that they saved in dollar, and at the end of the day, they kind of end up in the negative side of the entire saving, right? So I think that means there's a way to it, right? It's not just as easy as saving, right? I mean, saving is something that everybody knows that is straightforward. You just keep a portion of your money, right? But when it comes to saving in dollar, especially when you live in an economy that is not dollar dominated, then you need to understand how to go around it. So that's what we'll be discussing, right? All right, great. Right. Okay, before we get started, let's do a little bit of intro so we know everybody in the space. We are not so much, so let's do a little bit of intro. Hi everyone, I'm Olufemi Grace. I'll be the one sharing with us, right, and anchoring the conversation for this night, right? So, um, who would love to go next for the intro? I mean, we are not so many, so I think that shouldn't be like a big deal, right?
Okay, I go next. Good day,
Yeah, sure.
everybody.
Let's
My
have it.
name is yeah. Good day, everybody. My name is Olani Yorimekun Desmond. So I'm here to learn and I'm here to connect to
Oh, great.
everyone. Thank you.
All right, good. Amazing. Nice to have you here. All right, great, 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 great. Okay, so all right, who's going next? Let's have it. Who's going next? Let's have it. Who's going next?
Good evening, everyone.
Who's going next? Hi, good
I'm
evening.
going. My name is
Oh,
Ademola
great.
Labasolumbo. I'm also here to learn and also to connect.
Oh, amazing. All right, great. Okay, okay. Nice to have you, Ademola. All right, great. Who would love to go next?
Good evening, everyone. I'm
Hi, good
Olafe
evening.
Kemioladele.
All
I'm here to
right.
learn more on how to invest and also to connect with people.
Oh, amazing. Great. Okay, good, great, great. All right, great. Do we have any other person in the room? Right. Do you have any other person in the room? All right. Do you have any other person in the room that would like to intro themselves? I think there should be one more person. Okay, let me check. Do we? Okay, the person that just joined left. Okay, great. Right, so let's go forward. All right. So, like I said earlier, right? Sometimes we all assume that we know about saving, right? Which we mostly do, right? I mean, it's one of the simplest but most important concept of personal finance, right? Although it appears simple, there's a little bit of trick to it, right? I mean, there's a way you can do it. Everybody think it's just straightforward, right? But there are ways you can do it that make it easy for you. Because trust me, when you're in an economy or in a financial situation where all of the money you're making seems not enough every time, right? That's when you understand that saving is not just as simple as it looks, right? It's not just something that you just okay, you're making 100,000, you're making 200,000, and you just go right out to save 50,000 or 30,000 out of the 100,000 that you're making. Because obviously you know that you still got bills to pay, right? So yeah, so you still got bill to pay, right? So at that point, what you need to do is you need to understand what saving is all about, right? I mean, in the previous community conversation, right, we went over this discussing what saving is, right? What saving is, a little bit of around saving and budgeting. Then I think that was when we discussed. Someone asked the question around how to handle black tax and stuff like that, right? So if you've not listened to those before, right, I do think you should take a look at it, right? Listen to it, right? We would not go over it so much. We just go over it a little bit in cases where we need to make a reference, right, to support whatever we're discussing. So good. Like I was saying earlier, when it comes to saving, everybody think it's straightforward, right? It's pretty straightforward. Saving is all about, at its core, right? Saving is all about keeping a portion of whatever you earn as income for yourself, right? Not spending everything you make, which is something that people have done, right? There are different strategy people have adopted to like achieve the goal, right? Which of saving, which is in the early days, we have our fathers and our mothers doing things like thrift, right? Thrift where they just they they have a group of people contributing in different orders and all right. Thrift that is something I think in Yoruba it's called ajo. I don't know what's called in other languages, right? So we have things like that, and the goal of that kind of system is to one enable you to save easily and achieve your saving goal, right? If you want to, let's say you want to save 100,000 towards a particular project or program by the 10th month of the year, right? You could join a thrift program or a job, right? Where you have 10 people and you probably pick number 10, right? And you're contributing to 10,000 every month. And that's straightforward. I mean, there are different ways around saving. But where it gets complicated is when the money you're making is not even enough. That's when you understand that maybe there is more to it. And two, uh, when you're saving in different currency, right? That's when you understand that it's not just as straightforward as you thought it would be again, right? I mean, you're living in Nigeria or you live in an economy that is not dollar or euro, right? And you have to save in another currency. That's where you understand that saving might not be as straightforward as you thought it would be, right? I mean, the whole foundation of just keeping the money aside, right, it still holds, right? But the process of moving your money from one currency, from one economy to another economy, is where it gets tricky, and that's the part where we need to understand. Okay, like I was saying before, you need to understand the tricky part of saving in different economy, and that's where most people make the mistake. So there's really no slide for it, but let's get right into it. The first thing is the to save in dollar, right? The first thing we should know is there's really no difference between saving in dollar and saving in naira. To be very sincere, right? I would say there's really no difference saving in naira or saving in dollar, right? There's really no difference. But what really matter, why people are always call for saving in dollar is not really about the saving or the money itself. It's about protecting your money. The core reason why people shout saving in dollar, saving in dollar, saving in other currency is because they want us to protect our money, right? I mean, the whole goal of you saving, primarily saving, is you want to keep a chunk of money by the side, right? So if you're keeping a chunk of money by the side, at the end of the day, you don't want it's just like let's say you've kept money by the side in a place, and at the end of the day, you came back to where you kept the money, you couldn't find it, right? That's where saving in dollar comes in, right? So we all know what inflation is currently, and the inflation is like crazy now. It's easy to explain to everybody. It's just when you buy something that's 1,000 yesterday, and today you're buying it as 1,002. That's inflation. So saving in dollar is just a way it's just a way you use to protect your money from inflation, right? So every currency, every piece of currency or money that you hold that you can find around you or that you hold in your hand currently has value, right? It has a particular value attached to it. If it's 1,000 naira, it has particular value attached to it. So let's say a book is sold for 1,000 naira, you need 1,000 naira note to buy that book, right? Or you need to stack up 500 naira notes in two places to buy that book. So what saving in dollar does primarily for you is not because dollar is special or because dollar is a different currency. It's just because saving in dollar protects your money against inflation, right? It does, but the tricky part that most people actually don't understand is Inflation occurs in every economy. In Nigeria, where we use naira, right? Inflation occurs in our economy. In US, where dollar is being used, inflation occurs in their economy, right? In UK, inflation occurs in their economy, right? But when you now compare it, when you now compare the inflation rates, right, in this economy, in the naira economy, to the inflation rate in dollar economy, that's when you now think, okay, maybe the inflation in naira economy is too much, right? If I keep my money in naira, the inflation is too much. My money move my money in another economy, right, which their inflation is a little bit slower, right, and the economy is more stable. That's the difference. That's basically the main purpose of saving in dollar. It's not because dollar is special, it's not because dollar is a foreign currency, it's because we want to primarily protect our money from losing value. I mean, it's not like you have 100K in your account. Imagine you have 100K in your account and you wake up tomorrow, they are telling you that your 100K can only buy 5 liters of fuel. You'll be like, are you kidding? Right. I mean, 100K currently with the current price, 100K should still buy you, like, let's say minimum of, at even the Fred is selling for 600 and something, it should still buy you more than 100 liters, right? So now waking up tomorrow and somebody is telling you your 100,000 can only buy you 5 liters of fuel. That's when you're like, oh, this shit is crazy, right? Permit me for using that word, right? That's what saving in dollar primarily does for you. So it protects your money from losing value in an economy that is so unstable and the inflation like is very, very high, right? I mean, we've seen it this year, we've seen it between this year and last year, right? Prices of good has increased like so fast. And because every economy, either the naira dominated economy, the dollar dominated economy, or the euro, right? Every economy is kind of linked to each other, right? Because all economies, like, it's all about value, right? It's just that we use different notes and different symbols to represent different economies. So because all these economies are linked together, we could primarily say that what you can sell in this, we primarily say that what you sell in this economy for 5 naira, you can sell exactly the same thing in another economy for, let's say, $1, right? It's just the difference. So that means you can use money to buy something in this economy at the same time use money to buy something in another economy. So when you save in dollar, what you're doing is you are moving your money from an economy where the inflation is so fast, right? Where your money is losing value so fast, into another economy that your money is not losing value so fast. Although they too have inflation, but it's not as fast as the Nigerian economy. And when the economy you're also moving it into, right? They are more, the economy is more better than Nigerian economy. That's the whole concept of saving in dollar, right? The things you should know when you want to save in dollar. The first thing is, if you want to save in dollar, you should know that saving in dollar is, in this current economy, right, where the dollar and naira rate is like changing rapidly. You could wake up this week and have it at 1,004, wake up next week and have it at 1,002, right? It's really important to be very, very careful. I mean, before, it as easy as saying you want to save in dollar, you could just move your money to dollar this week and maybe next week remove it again to naira, because the rates were like fairly like balanced as at that time. I mean, dollar could be at 1,002 for like 6 months flat, right? As at that time, dollar could be at 1,002 for like 6 months flat. It could be at 500 naira at 6 months, 3 months flat, right? But now we are in a situation where Nigerian economy is like not so balanced and things are changing rapidly, right? So to save in dollar in this economy, you have to understand that you have to be very careful, one, right? And you have to understand a little bit about foreign exchange, right? So you saving in dollar simply means you believe that on the long run, you saving in dollar simply means you believe that in the next, let's say you're saving for 2 months, you believe that in the next 2 months, the dollar economy is going to be fairly stable than the naira economy. That is, the inflation in the in the dollar economy is going to be way, way lower than the inflation in the naira economy. Like I said before, the whole concept of saving in dollar is not about just buying dollar or moving money to dollar because everybody is talking about dollar, right? It's about keeping your money in an economy where the inflation is relatively low compared to the economy where you live, right? So that the value of your money is protected. So it's just like saying you have 10 pieces of sweet stacked up in one jar in a bottle, right? And if you put it on a particular table, we have two tables, right? One person is sitting at one table, another person is sitting at another table. On table A, if you put your sweet that is 10 on that table, the first person will be taking it at 2 every 5 minutes. While on the other table, table B, the second person is taking it just one sweet per day, right? If you're supposed to keep your sweet, if you're traveling, you're supposed to keep your sweet on a particular table. I think we all prefer to put our own on a table where the person takes just one per day, right? The same thing with saving in dollar, right? So it's all about keeping your money in an economy where the inflation is relatively low, right? That's the core concept. So when you understand this now, you now understand that before you even save in dollar, dollar might actually not be the best economy to actually save your money. It could be another economy, right? But generally, dollar is like it's relatively stable compared to naira. So and it's easy to buy, right? So you should consider it, right? So now, once you understand that, the next thing you need to understand is we are in an economy that we are in a situation where Nigeria economy is so unstable. So if you want to save in dollar, the first thing you should do is you should understand what the price is doing currently, right? So you see how volatile the market is. Understand how volatile the market is. And when you what you should do is you should be saving in a long term, on a long term basis, right? So let's put it this way. Imagine you had saved in dollar at the point where dollar was 1008, right? And now we have dollar at 1004 something. Recently, dollar like went down to 1000 to 1003, right? So that means if you had saved at 1008, somehow you've lost money, right? So it's not only about saving in it's not only about every time the people are talking about saving dollar or dollar is going up, dollar is coming down, you should just move your money to dollar. What you should understand is what's Nigeria economy saying, right? Is Nigeria economy getting bad? Is US economy getting bad? Those are the things that will inform your decision of saving in dollar or saving in naira, right? So apart from that, the next thing you should do is you should have a goal and a plan for saving in dollar, right? So saving is dollar. We've all agreed that dollar is a more stable economy than naira, which is fine, right? You can save in dollar. Save in dollar, you should, like I said before, right? You should make it a little bit of long-term plan, right? Is when you're saving in dollar, don't save the money in dollar because of the price changes, right? Imagine you had saved in dollar like last month and you need the money this month. The probability that you lose money is very high because the prices are changing very fast. If it is a situation, let's say 2019, 2018, right? Or even 2020, where the prices of dollar to naira is not like changing very fast, right? If it's that kind of time, it's still okay for you to do because the prices are not changing very fast. But in a situation that we have prices changing very fast, like and the volatility is very high, what you need to do is you need to understand that for your money to actually be very secure, which is the primary reason why you're saving in dollar, you should make it a long-term plan, not something that you want to do for 2 months. Because on the long term, on the short term, right, the prices of dollar to naira is a little bit mixed with emotion, manipulation of both the federal government, the CBN, right, and some other market factors that control the price of dollar and naira, right? So everybody's making different decisions that is affecting naira and dollar on the short term. So if you are saving on the short term, those decisions would one day take out your savings, right? Just like when CBN just woke up and said they've banned all crypto transaction, the market reacted to the price of dollar and naira, right? And another day they made a policy of banning all accounts related to crypto. So on the short term, things like this, even the buyers and sellers would make different decisions that would affect the prices of dollar to naira, right? So on a short term, it will affect you if you're saving on a short term of, oh, I want to save in dollar. I have 100,000 or 500,000 now, and I'll need the money in the next 2 weeks. So I want to save in dollar. With this current economic situation, the probability that you lose money is very high because the prices are volatile now. Price is very volatile now. So to save in this economy in dollar, the best thing you should do is consider saving on a long term. So 6 months, 3 months and above is like the best time to actually save because on the long term, the prices will have like average out. The prices will have balanced out, right? So let's say, how would I explain this? So let's say you're making, we often sine graph during secondary school, a graph that is going up, down, up, down, up, down. On the long term, 3 months and above, you'll be able to find the average price, right? So let's say by the time you look at the price of dollar and naira for the last 6 months, if you had saved in, let's say, dollar 6 months ago, you have seen what the average price would look like, and you'll have the prices will have balanced out at the end of that period, right? So that's why you have to consider, if you want to save in this economy in dollar, you have to consider saving in long term. That's the best thing. If you are not saving in long term, if it's some money that you need after 1 month, after 1.5 months, or after 2 months, just keep it in naira, to be very sincere, because the probability that your money may disappear is very high. Let me give you an example now. So let's say last month, or that should be, when was dollar 2000? I think that was around early April or so. Dollar was around 2000. Imagine you were so scared that naira was losing value, and you saved 100,000 or 500,000 in dollar. You converted it into dollar. Within a week, after the dollar touched 2000, within a week, the prices started dropping because the CBN was making moves that were controlling the price, that was readjusting the market. So at that point, you would lose money because you're considering the short term. But if you're considering long term, what you will ask yourself is, do I need this money in the next 6 months? No. Okay, let me save it in dollars. So it's just like you saving your money in a place where you are very, very sure that it will be secured. And for you to lock up your money in a place that it will be secure, that means it's not a money that you need, right? So that's one thing you should consider when saving in dollar. Then another thing that I believe we should consider when saving in dollar is, we should consider uh exchange rate, exchange rate commission, right? So it's not as straightforward as everybody say that, oh, save in dollar. When you're saving in dollar, for every platform that you buy, for every platform that you use, right? You have to sacrifice a little bit of your cash to get dollar. So let's say you buying dollar at, okay, so let's say you want to exchange 100,000 now. They are saying, okay, you're buying, the bank will give you dollar at 1,400, right? So that means you're buying dollar at 1,400. So that means to get $100, you probably need 140,000, right? By the time you want to sell your dollar back, even if the price is not changing, if the price is still remaining the same, by the time you want to sell your dollar back, the thing is, the bank will not buy the dollar from you at 1,004. In most cases, the price that they buy the dollar back from you is always lesser than the price at which they sold it for you. Check every exchange platform, right? Either it's a fintech or it's bank. If the bank is selling it to you, if you want to buy dollar and the bank is selling it to you at 1,004, by the time you want to sell the same dollar that you bought to them back to collect your naira, they'll sell it to you at a lesser, they'll buy it from you at a lesser price, maybe 15 naira difference, maybe 30 naira difference. It depends on the market situation, right? So that means you can't be saving your money. That's one of the reasons why you can't be saving your money, or how would I put this? You can't be converting your money to from naira to dollar at a very, very fast rate. So that means if you're saving 150,000, 140,000 naira in dollar today, and next week you're converting the same money into naira, then the following week you are converting it again into dollar. On the long run, you discover that it's more like your money is reducing because of that small commission fee, exchange rate commission fee, right? That's one of the things why you have to save on a long term basis. So if you know that you're buying dollars 1,004, obviously for that price to make sense for you, it's not something that you wake up tomorrow, now convert it again as 1,350. So you had lost about 5,000 naira just doing nothing, right? Which is one of the things where most people like make one of the areas where most people make mistake. Then another thing is if you're the kind of person that you're making money in dollar, maybe you're a freelancer or you work remote for a global company, one thing you should know is if you want to save in dollar, you don't necessarily have to convert your money that you paid in dollar into naira, then save in dollar again. No, it doesn't work that way. When you paid in dollar, just keep that money in that platform, right? In the dollar platform until the time when you need it, then convert to naira, right? And the thing is, if you should know the difference between saving and you doing a little bit of will I call it arbitrage or you doing a little bit of speculation, right? So I've had a situation where people are earning in dollar, right? Let's say you're earning in dollar, you've just been paid, let's say $200, but you need money. But because of exchange rate, you're thinking, maybe this thing will go up, right? Let me just keep the $200 till next week. Then you find out that dollar is even going down. So for that kind of scenario, what you should do is if you are being paid in dollar, just decide that do I want to save? If I want to save, let's say I want to save 1/4 of my income, right? I want to save it in dollar. That means you'll be saving $50. That $50, convert every other thing that you have, convert it into and pay your bills, then keep the remaining $50 strictly in dollar because you are saving in dollar for the long term base. Not that you are waiting for it to jump up by 50. You discover that the money is just going down. And at the end of the day, you probably like lose 20,000, 30,000 because you were trying to wait for the market to adjust to your favor, right? The forex market is not a market where it's not a market that cares about anybody's feeling, right? It's based on value, based on what people perceive an economy is doing. So it's not a market that you can manipulate. The best thing is if it's money that you know you need immediately, just take it there, go buy whatever you want to buy, pay your bills, and leave your savings in dollar for the long term, right? Then one more thing that I think we should consider when saving in dollar is one, the security of the platform where we're saving in dollar, right? So, like I said, there are some platforms where if you want to save in dollar, they're very easy. You just tap a button, they swap your fund for you, they keep it for you. But that doesn't mean like they're like the best platform to save in dollar, right? Because I mentioned something about the exchange rate before, right? Exchange rates are fairly close, but the margin of buy and sell is different across all platforms, right? So GTB might be selling dollar for you as 1,004 and they're buying it from you as 1,350. While Access Bank is selling for you at 1,004 and buying from you at 1,375. Then there's one fintech because they are fast, you don't have to leave your house, right? They are selling for you at 1,500 and they are buying from you at 1,400. At the end of the day, you notice that working with that fintech is actually more expensive for you because of the margin, right? It's more expensive for you. So when you're saving in dollar, it's not just about carrying all your money and putting it in the dollar. It's about considering that margin because at the end of the day, if you're saving on a platform where they charge apart from the exchange rate, they charge additional commission or additional fee for saving, then you're losing more money, right? You have to consider things like that when you want to obviously save in dollar. Then, like I had said earlier before, the whole concept of saving in dollar is not because people are shouting it or because people are saying it on Twitter, right? It's because you believing that the dollar is better than the naira dominated economy that you're moving your money away from, right? So it's not only about just listening to people that, oh, I think you save in dollar, right? I believe as an individual, we should make informed decision. And making informed decision, if you want to save in dollar or save in any foreign currency, would be you learning a little bit about that economy. I can tell you for a fact that out of 100 people, let's say 60 out of 100 people that save in dollar don't know anything about the US economy. They just save in dollar because people tell them to save in dollar. So before you save in dollar, maybe take a time, take a weekend to read about the dollar economy, how the economy is performing, right? Maybe the economy is even crashing currently. You don't know. But because everybody is saying save in dollar, you just carry your money into dollar economy that might be crashing currently and you still save in dollar, right? So what you should do is learn a little bit about what the economy you want to save into the foreign currency you want to save in. Learn a little bit about them because at the end of the day, it's not only about the exchange rate or anything. It's about which economy perform better by the time you need your money. That's the main thing behind saving in dollar. So if I'm saying the inflation rate in naira currently is 10%, and the inflation in dollar is, let's say, 30%. Does it still make sense to save in dollar? I mean, because everybody's shouting save in dollar on Twitter, inflation rate in Nigeria is 10%, right? And inflation rate in dollar is 30%. I mean, does it still make sense to save in dollar at that point? Because that means if I move my money to dollar, the 30% inflation would affect me, right? And by the time I want to convert it back again, you get. So it's not only about the old people shouting saving dollar. You have to understand the fundamentals behind saving in dollar. It's about putting your money in any economy, in any currency that one, the inflation would be like very, very small. You don't want your money to lose value very fast. So the inflation rate is like relatively low as possible by the time you need your money. Then two, the economy is performing like fairly okay, right? Performing very good. So those are the things you should really consider. It's not just about putting your money in one fintech app and typing and clicking on the button to save in dollar. You have to understand that at the end of the day, saving in dollar is still all about you believing that the dollar economy, the US economy, in the next 6 months, you are saving for the long term, which you should do. You should not save in short term again, right? Saving on the long term in dollar economy. So that means what you're saying is in the next 6 months, the dollar economy would be better than the naira economy. And I want to use the dollar economy to preserve the value of my money because the inflation would be less. So it makes a logical sense, right? So those are the things you should consider when you saving in dollar. Right, great. Okay, I think we should open the floor now at this point to have everybody that would love to contribute and also share one thing or the other. All right, great. So if you've learned anything valuable during this conversation, you can unmute yourself to give a comment or drop a 111 in the chat section. If you have anything you would like to share as well, right? Maybe you've learned something in the presence of you, like testing the water, saving your money in dollar or in euro or something, and you found something valuable that you'd love to share. Please feel free to unmute yourself. We would love to learn from you. This is a very, very open community conversation. All right. Hey, okay, so I just sent a link to the chat section. So this is direct link to the previous conversation that we had on saving and budgeting, right? I mean, we really discussed some interesting things there. So you could check it out later. You could copy the link out and check it out later. Right. All right, great. So do we have any person that would love to share something? I mean, it's completely open space. Let's unmute ourselves and share something. Even if we are not sharing something, let's unmute ourselves and let us know if you've learned something from this conversation. Let's not be boring this night. All right, good. Can you hear me? Or is it my network? Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Uh, oh, great. You've unmuted yourself. All right, great. Would you love to add something?
Basically, I just want to share my own perspective. Actually, thank you for the information. It's very, very insightful, I would say. Based on what you said about the economy, which is one of the most important thing, I guess, because Nigeria, we are always after just to make the money real quick. It's just one of the
Yeah.
things I learned so far. And even based on the insights you shared, it makes me to understand even more better in terms of, if our plan is not for a long-term goal, if it's short time, it will actually pay in the long haul. Because imagine how the dollar has been fluctuating so far now. So because I was actually
Yeah.
contemplating on doing that, even though I was, participating in one of the stock investments. But I realized that if someone is not careful enough, you actually lose a lot of your money in that kind of situation. So that's just my own little contribution and
Yeah.
appreciation for your information.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Ademola. I really appreciate that. Really appreciate that. Yeah, I think there's something in the chat. Oluwakolumi is saying he didn't quite get the inflation rate that I shared on the for the US. Could you omit yourself? Maybe make like elaborate around that so I can know the best way to come in.
No, I just wanted to ask what the current inflation rate for the US is. I didn't get that when you said it.
I'm not so certain. I think I've not read the reports for this month. Right. I've not read the reports. It should have been. It's today the first Friday. Oh yeah, should have been released on the third. So I didn't read the report. Right. So I'm not certain of it. Right. But I do think it's something that we can all look up and check it out. Right. So I think to add a little bit to what you had, I mentioned earlier that the whole concept of saving in naira or of saving in foreign currency is that you believe that your money would be safe and the value of your money would not drop so fast in the economy you are moving it into. That's why I made the analogy of okay, if let's say the inflation rate in Nigeria, that's hypothetical, right? Let's say the inflation rate in Nigeria is 10% and inflation rate in US is 30%. Would this still make sense for you to say you want to go save in dollar, right? Because that means for inflation rate in Nigeria to be 10%, let's say hypothetically, right? And inflation rate in the US is 30% hypothetically. That means your money is losing value faster by 20% extra in the US economy. So it doesn't make any sense to move it to that economy. That's the whole concept of saving in dollar and you get. So the whole concept of saving in dollar is all about oh, you believe that maybe Nigeria economy inflation is at 10% and US inflation is at let's say 3% or so, right? So you believe that oh, your money would last longer, the value would like take a while, right? There than even it's an economy that is so full of inflation, right? Every economy do have their own inflation, but saving in foreign currency means you just want to put your money in an economy that you think it's more safe, right? And the value will not be eroded so fast. All right, great. All right, so I think there's a question in the chat. Can you please give us a link to where you get relevant information about the inflation rate of each country currency? Yeah, sure. To do that, the best source is just type Google or Yahoo Finance. Search it on any country you're looking for. You could just search it on Google, check it on Yahoo Finance, and there are a lot of platform like that you can check. But Google is like your main source. All right, we have somebody raising his hand. Please, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Okay, good evening. Please, am I audible?
Hi, good
Can you
evening.
hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Chris, for that session. I tried even you know, I tried to even get some people on board when I saw the content and everything you are talking about. So thank you. I really enjoyed the short time I joined. So my question, just three, and I'll be very fast with it. I was hoping that you would probably suggest a saving platform. Though I saw that you tried not to mention any, but based on what you've taught tonight, like I learned out that we should understand why we are saving. All right, it's based on value. And you also mentioned how that should be long term. But I was
Yeah.
just hoping that probably you mentioned a saving platform that probably you've over time you can trust the ingenuity of the platform and all of that. I know you mentioned fintech and all that. And why did I ask that? Recently, I noticed that this IMTO thing that is happening. I don't know, but I saw recently one of my accounts was just debited. without my permission, without any. I just saw conversion of IMCO, balance for account
Yeah.
closure or something like that. So, and really, it was painful. I was hoping I would still go to bank anyway to find out what really happened. Why would they do such and all that? But I tried to read up some things, and I saw it's a recent policy. I've not really understood what happened, but I'll still find time to read it up. So that's
By the
just
same-
that. Secondly, can I go ahead or I should hold on? You want to answer that?
Okay, please hold on so I can answer
Okay, please
that.
hold on so I can answer that. Okay.
All right. So for that, for the saving platform, personally, let me share the ones I use personally, right? So I use for saving basically I use Piggyvest, right? Piggyvest has been like reliable so far, and I think they're one of like the biggest force of saving in the financial market, right? Everybody trusts them. I think currently they do about people save about 25,000 per second on their platform. So I think they are too big to fail at this point now, and they have insurance. So that's why I use them. And apart from that, another reason why I use them is because they've incorporated saving in dollar now. So you don't have to like be using three different platforms to manage your savings, right? So you could just use one particular app, move your naira into that app, and you can tap whether to keep it in naira savings or to keep it in dollar savings. If you want to keep it in dollar savings, you want to keep it in dollar savings, it will tell you the exchange rate at which they will convert, right? The current exchange rate and how at the exchange rate they will convert for you. So you just agree with it. When you agree with it, it converts your money to dollar, right? But for their exchange rate, I don't particularly pay attention to their exchange rate. I think their exchange rate is fair. And the reason why I don't pay attention to it so much is because if I try to do anything in dollar, I do it for a long term basis, right? I've saved in dollar since last year and I've actually not touched it at all. And another reason why I actually use their platform is just like their Naira savings, they give interest, right? For their Naira savings, they also give interest for their dollar savings. And the interest for their dollar savings is paid in dollar and is added to your balance in dollar. So I think that's one of the reasons why I use them. I don't know if that answers your question perfectly.
Yes, thank you. So Piggyvest, you said. Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
So now my second question. I think one of the
Yeah.
person that asked the question was trying to say what I was going to say. You talked about how that inflation is everywhere, yes, but depending on what and what's it's happening around the economy and all of that. So I was going to say that is there any currency that you are suggesting that is doing well at the moment? Yes, I've noted Yahoo Finance. I'll look it up, but just by way of conversation, is there any currency that you feel in your own perception, in your own what's the word now?
Yeah,
Is
from
there
my
any
own
currency that you
perspective,
can
right?
predict
Like, yeah.
perspective? Yes, thank you. That is doing well at the moment based on um the economy worldwide.
Okay. So I think if I would say
So I
based
think
on
if
the
I would say
economy,
based on the economy,
I would if I would say based on the if we say evaluate based on the economy worldwide, we'll still come back to dollar, maybe pound, euro, and all right. And like I said before, it's best to when you are saving from your own currency to another currency, what you should really be concerned about is one, the the primarily you should be concerned about the performance of the economy you are saving in with respect to the performance of your own economy, right? So if I'm saving in dollar now, I'm really more concerned about the performance of dollar with naira. The dollar economy. What's the inflation in dollar economy like? What's the growth in dollar economy like, and stuff like that with respect to that of naira. So by the time I benchmark the two figures, that would be like the primary place where I would start before I now compare it with what the global stuff look like. Globally, there's inflation in every country. There's inflation in every country. There's even global inflation, right? But if you look at okay, somebody just shared a data in the chat section, said he had confirmed this now that inflation rate in US is 3.4%, right? 3.48%, and the inflation rate in Nigeria is 29.90% as of January, I guess this year. So that means your money will lose value faster in Nigeria because inflation is at 30%. So that means something that 100,000 naira would buy before, right, it will not buy it again. You probably need additional 30,000 naira to buy what 100,000 could afford before. But if you had put the same money, if you had put it in US economy in dollar as at December, the difference is just about 3%, right? You just probably need, let's say, extra $3 or $10 to add to it, right? So, but primarily to answer your question, I would say just compare the two economy, right? And you find one of the best. But in some cases, you could find other economies that are not like so popular, like maybe the China economy doing like perfectly well with Naira when you want to like save in other currency. But the bottleneck is how to actually purchase their currency, right? I mean, most platform just offers the popular economies like dollar and euro. That's where the issue is. So imagine you want to save in, let's say, yen now. That means you have to walk out into a bank to go save. I mean, the stress can be. I think that's why most people just offer it dollar, euro. Most platforms just offer dollar basically.
Exactly. Thank you. I was going to comment also that I think most banks just do, or most platforms just do the popular. There was a time banks used to do yen and all of that, but I'm not even sure. Maybe for them it's not selling, and also because of their own business orientation too. So okay, I think don't let me steal the show. Or let me afford other people to also want to say thank you. You didn't. I'm not sure you answered the GT, the issue, the IMTU I mentioned, but it's fine. But if you can say something, I'll appreciate it. Thank you.
Sorry,
I'm really
your network is
enlightened.
breaking. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Okay, can you hear me, please? Can you hear me?
Network. Please come
Hello, can
again.
you
I think
hear
I
me?
can hear you now.
I think I
Can
can
you
hear
come
you
again?
now.
Okay. Okay, thank you. I appreciated the session. Thank you for it's a powerful session for me. I was enlightened. So I was saying just by way of addition that most banks they do the popular, you know, they trade popular economy. So I think it's also because of their own business orientations also. They are trying to also bank
Yeah.
on whatever. Then but now I was now asking by way of my last question. Can you still hear me, please?
Yes, I can still hear you.
Okay, thank you. That IMTO conversion I mentioned, do you have anything to say about it? I mentioned how that a
Oh,
particular
is it
account
the
of
direct
mine
conversion of the
was
funds that were in your account,
The
right?
funds that were in your account, right?
yes, yes. That was
Is that what
around
you're
that was
talking
just
about?
last month.
Yeah, but
Yes. Did you get it? I'm done. Did you get it?
Hello. Yeah, if anybody can hear me, please, I would love to know if you can hear me. I
you
think
can
I
hear
just
me.
put this
Yes, we
question.
can. I can hear you now. Just now.
Oh, okay, great. All right, please. So sorry, I think the network is having issue. All right, please. Can you go ahead with your question again?
Okay, I was asking about the IMTO conversion.
Oh,
Do
okay,
you have
okay. The
anything you can
policy.
say
The
about
thing is,
Policy.
I
yes,
didn't
the
really pay
policy?
attention to
I
the
didn't really pay
policy, but
attention
I
to the
think I heard
policy,
of
but
it at a particular point. Yeah, I think I heard of it at the time that it was announced that every I think dollar or so, every foreign currency that is coming in should be converted directly into naira account. I think it's just a way it was a way that the CBN was using to like boost the naira economy as at that time. So I think they were just converting everybody that received cash from outside the country. They just convert their cash directly. And one of the reasons why I actually prefer to use some of the fintechs is most of the fintechs have their dollar accounts outside the country. So when CBN make sudden policies like that, most of them don't really get affected, right? Because let's say for example now, I think Gray, we have dollar account on Gray. Your dollar account, mine is not Nigerian based. Is I think it's Bank of America or something, right? So it's most for that fintech, most of their dollar dominated accounts are like outside the country. So if they make any foreign policy, any policy now, it will really not affect them, right? I don't know if that was useful in any way.
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
All right, right, great. Okay, so do we have any person who would love to ask a question or share something for us? I mean, that would be amazing. All right. Okay, so if we do not have any other person that would love to share, I think it's if we all agree that it's been an amazing, or we've learned something from this conversation, let's drop a 111 in the chat so that we do know that, I mean, the conversation has been useful for us, and we'll find something we'll do better while saving, right, in dollar or in any currency that we're saving currently. All right, great. Okay, great. All right, so I think that would be the end of this conversation this night. Right, I do have master class that I have to jump on by 8 p.m. immediately. All right, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. So the recording of this would be made available on YouTube, right? So I think earlier I dropped the link to the previous one where we just discussed saving and budgeting. So I've dropped the link again for those that might have missed that previous link. So let's say by tomorrow or the week, this recording will be made available on YouTube as well. Then I would share it via the newsletter, this coming week newsletter, and we can all like catch up and maybe rewatch it if we need to do that. All right, please let's enjoy the rest of our weekend and see you next time.